U.S. intelligence agency, mind control.
And people don't do well at fighting that had great lives. So now I'm looking at this athlete. I don't imagine she was Miss Popular at school. I don't imagine a lot of nice things happened to her. But I do know the sacrifice that it would take to make an Olympic team, let alone to make the Olympic finals. You have no money. You have no job. This doesn't pay. But there is one payoff, which if should you succeed, and only 3 of them will, gold, silver, bronze, somebody somewhere will pat you on the back and tell you good job. She's an amateur athlete. She's going to go fight 4 people this week and get nothing for it. None of you would have even known she was fighting. So now imagine you reach your goal. You sacrificed. You ate the SpaghettiOs. You lived 3 deep down in mom's basement. You did all of these things, and you brought honor to your country. And not only did somebody not tell you good job, which is the only thing you ever hope to get, they now do the opposite.
You dishonor my family.
They tell you you're a man. You think life for her gets better? This is such a
Who's he got? Logan Paul, Jake Paul, J.K. Rowling, J.D.
terrible thing
Charlie Kirk,
for her to have said about her.
Dylan Dennis, Elon Musk,
It is not true.
Riley Gaines, Piers Morgan,
There is no test.
more Riley Gaines. Amazing, amazing. All the exact fucking people that you would expect, right? Oh.
Oh boy.
Also, calling this misinformation is wrong. What this is disinformation. This is knowingly spreading a false story. When told, continuing to spread it, that's disinformation. Every single one of the people who spread this story is a disinformation agent.
Oh boy.
Literal fake nerd though, right? Literal fake nerd. No, the guy's just a fucking fascist who kind of likes video games and comic books. Or what's happened is he watched Bruce, like he read Batman comics as a kid, and he was like, rich white man, I'd simp for that. And then has just basically compounded that belief.
It might feel like a gender controversy at the
Is he back to doing his goofy shit? Why is he bald again?
Olympics is a very 2024 kind of issue, but we've always been obsessed with other people's gender. Like ever since the 30s, we were like pointing fingers at other countries saying, your women aren't like our women. Our women are normal.
Guess where that comes from?
Oh, your women are actually men.
Well, I got, I think Alice Capel, the French girl that we watch, has a video about this. I think we may have watched it about how it's almost rooted in white supremacy, almost. That it's like non-white women are manly, non-white women aren't feminine sort of thing.
Dressed up as women. And as soon as that thought like permeated the globe, like we haven't been able to let it go. And now that people are trans identifying, it feels like all of it has like reached a boiling point. So the transgender women and even the cisgendered women, they're all getting shat on. It takes no prisoners. We got Alona Mar.
I always get these comments, but like recently it kind of ramped up. Was I get comments being called a man and being called that.
Right. Talking about this, there's this bodybuilder chick that I follow on Threads. She randomly posted posted some pictures saying, I am a woman, I was born a woman, I've always been a woman. And I just responded, I'm like, did you get transvestigated? LOL. Because she keeps posting these fucking dumb Republican talking points. I'm like, you know this is wrong, right? And then this happens, and I'm just like, maybe you should surround yourself with different people. If the people you surround yourself with result in you getting transvestigated because you lift weights, find better people.
Masculine and ask if I'm on steroids.
You got Katie Ledecky also being called a man. You can rest assured
Ledecky?
that if
Really?
you're a woman who's talented in sports, you're going to be called a man. You also have 2 Zambian football players who are targeted specifically by Australian news outlets.
There's 2 athletes in the Zambian football.
Look at this fat fuck. criticizing athletes. What's your sport? Fastest burger to your mouth, you fat fuck?
Team who played against the Matildas the other day.
Two of them are on the Zambian football team, and our Matildas went to play with them. You have to ask yourself, were you not a biological male, would you have scored twice against our girls?
What's even worse?
All girls are girls. All girls.
I love how connected everything that we've spoken about today is. I love it. I fucking love it. Where do you think that this idea comes from? In Australia, where is the idea that non-white people who are good at sport must be men? Couldn't possibly be British colonial racism, could it? No, not at all.
Girls are girls. All girls have long hair. All girls have XX chromosomes. The Matildas. We should rename the Matildas the XXs so they know that we're girls. And lastly, you have Lin Yuting of Taipei and Iman Khalif of Algeria, the two women boxers.
Apparently, he skipped Max Mofo's wedding. Even Joji went, and he's like a touring multi-million-dollar artist. So I think that's pretty funny. I want to know what happened. I want to know if it was just
he still does Cold One stuff with them.
No, I know, and this is why I'm like, why would he skip the wedding? It's just strange. Maybe it was just timing thing. I don't know. It's just strange.
Who are competing at this year's Olympics. As a professional boxer and boxing promoter and radical.
He's just like a professional boxer.
He is.
Trans activist. I felt like this story.
No, I know. Technically, he is.
Was tailor-made for me. One of the first
Yeah,
things
of
that
Taipei.
I
I thought that
was
too.
there were more people talking.
Did he?
Yeah, he said Taipei.
Wow.
About Iman Khalif than the Olympic Dutch rapist. The celebrities that decided to speak up on this controversy, they did not send their best. Stinky McFart ass, the fattest baby in the room. Every member of the Paul household, I wrote down here, the family that seems like they might use the word bloodline one too many times in casual conversation. Piers Morgan, Dilbert, Doug Dimmadome, Tutter Mouse from Bear in the Big Blue House. I was listening to him on a podcast with the Purple Otters, and they were saying all sorts of like awful transphobic shit. Yeah, so the wait's been long enough. Let's hear from these people.
They let a transgender. There's apparently at least two transgender boxers that are fighting in women's boxing.
Fattest baby alive. Is that what he called you on?
Biggest baby in the room is, I believe, what he called him.
No. And what did he call Jake?
You can't understand because you're not retarded.
Look at this. This is a man. This is a man.
Oh, is it the first one?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
It's Stinky McFartass.
That's a dude. And if it is a woman, a very ugly woman.
Khalif like slaps Karini in the chest. Almost looks like Karini gets roped.
And you've got this disgusting piece of shit that tries to come over and, hey, it's okay, it's okay. Angela Karini wants nothing to do with this guy.
They have no breasts. They are built like men. They are 5'10".
The far left wants to allow biological males to beat the living crap out of women in boxing.
She got hit so hard she didn't know what the hell hit her. It's a person that transitioned. He was a good male boxer.
Congratulations to the male. Bravo on slugging that woman in a boxing match. Wow, you really...
Wow, Russian agent Tim Pool spreading Russian disinformation. Who fucking knew?
Prove how great you are at fighting by
Good job,
punching a
Russian
woman in the
agent.
face.
Really doing that journalism.
Obvious that these people are just fucked up. They're really fucked up in the head. Like, I feel very fortunate to have not continued going down that path. I do have to cut them some slack because it is difficult to find accurate news when the only way you find your news is by looking at Riley Gaines' Instagram.
They let a transgender. There's apparently at least two transgender boxers.
This article says they're not transgender.
What are you talking about?
That's what this says.
They may be intersex. Riley Gaines posted it on her Instagram.
Fuck me, Joe. Jesus fucking Christ. Riley Gaines is a mediocre swimmer who rose to prominence because she cried about being a mediocre swimmer. She is not a source of information.
Failing gender eligibility tests.
In a Russian boxing agency, which hasn't been a part of the Olympics since 2019 and was sponsored by Gazprom when these boxers were questioned after they beat Russian fighters. The story's not that hard to follow.
Okay, that means they're transgender, Jamie.
Getting your trans news from Riley Gaines is a very bad choice.
Mhm.
This is like reading the Jerusalem Post to learn about atrocities in Palestine. Iman Khalif and Lin Ting are not trans, and it's only an allegation that they're intersex. So when I talk about trans people in this video, it's meant to highlight the fact that the same tactics that are being used...
It's very, very weird watching an iDubbbz video in favor of trans people.
I know, right? Well,
It's
you know what?
very weird.
You know what he says is what made him change, right?
Yeah, his fans were coming up and saying fucked shit to him. And like, not
no. There's a
ironically.
specific one. A trans fan came up to him and said, "You probably hate me, but I really want a picture."
Really? Unbelievable. I'm good. I'm glad.
to dehumanize trans women are being used to dehumanize all women.
They have no breasts. They are built like men. They are 5'10".
If you don't fit into this very small box of what society has deemed a woman to be, you're going to be accused of being a man.
Yep.
Now, I know some of you haven't heard the full story of Iman Khalif at the Olympics, so I'll give you a brief overview, because if you listen to anyone from a month ago,
very
they
curious
were
how this is
talking
gonna
about
go.
it like it's the season finale of Game of Thrones.
At 12:20, she went into the ring. By 12:22, we had an international disaster.
Iman's first opponent in this competition was Italian boxer Angela Carini. Now, Angela Carini is a good boxer. She's been boxing for many years and is obviously good enough to represent Italy. So the fight starts, and in the first 30 seconds, things are looking pretty basic, but you could tell that Angela Carini is outmatched. So after those 30 seconds, she goes to her corner because she has something wrong with her headgear. She needs to get her headgear readjusted. So after she gets her headgear fixed, she comes in, and not like 5 seconds later, she gets a cross to the face. Trump has been calling this a jab.
Well, she got hit with 2 jabs. A jab is not supposed to be that bad. 2 jabs, and she said, no more, no more.
Do you see the
Because
count?
she got hit so hard, she said, I've never been hit like that before.
By the way, I do think it's important to point out these small things, because I don't think it's small. It's a very malicious tactic that a lot of these fuckers use to downplay the skill and ability of someone like Iman and say that she's got man strength. And all it took was a jab.
Hello?
What's up?
Go back. You got to see the iDubbbz does the count on why it's not 1 jab. He counts the punches. It's so funny.
Seriously? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
That's actually a really good point that I didn't even consider, is because he's a fighter, he will be able to break down the fight.
Trump has been, he needs to get her headgear pretty big.
Like, he has fight training. He should theoretically be able to break down
All
the
the
fight.
other matches
but you could tell
at
that
Creator Clash were amateur matches. He did a pro match.
Was it really?
Yeah, that's why he didn't
I
have
didn't know that.
headgear on.
Okay.
If you don't have
Ah.
headgear, it's a pro match.
Interesting.
There's other
And
things
that
make
kind
a
of
pro
leads
match, but
that leads to everything else that I was always saying about the Olympics. People need to realize the Olympics is not professional, it's pro-am. It's amateur sport. It's the professional amateurs. They are not professionals, sports players at the Olympics. There are some professionals there, naturally, but they are not professional sports players.
Angela Carini is outmatched. So after those 30 seconds, she goes to her corner because she has something wrong with her headgear. She needs to get her headgear readjusted. So after she gets her headgear fixed, she comes in, and not like 5 seconds later, she gets a cross to the face. Trump has been calling this a jab.
Well, she got hit with 2 jabs. A jab is not supposed to be that bad. 2 jabs, and she said, no more, no more. I don't want, because she got hit so hard. She said, I've never been hit like that before.
By the way, I do think it's important to point out these small things, because I don't think it's small. It's a very malicious tactic that a lot of these fuckers use to downplay the skill and ability of someone like Iman and say that she's got man strength. And all it took was a jab.
A jab is not supposed to be that bad.
Just a little jab. It wasn't a jab. It was a fucking straight two to her face.
Yeah.
That's what did it. And that's what any female boxer, any good female boxer would do. Makes me violent. So Angela Carini gets hit with the two. She's like, ouch, that hurt.
Do you see how he called it a
She goes back
two?
to her corner. All of these.
Yeah.
Do you know
Go-
why
I
he
think
called
it's-
it a two?
I think it's where you like the direction of the punch.
Yeah, so like when you're in training, they'll call your punches. They'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or
Yeah.
2, 1, 1, 2, 3,
Yeah,
2.
yeah.
Pundits
so the
and
2
people
is the
commentating
type of punch.
on it. They're saying all sorts of shit like how heartbreaking it is and how difficult it was to watch.
For me, my reaction when I saw that clip, I mean, it's just absolutely brutal.
I love that
It's
he
really
keeps
ugly.
using
It's quite
Australian
upsetting to see
media.
this boxer.
Like, please use Australian media because nobody gives a fuck here, but the media can't shut the fuck up about it. They won't shut the fuck up about it. And the chuds here who consume that shit are just turning into Americans. They just sound like Americans. It's insane.
On the canvas, crying about being absolutely pummeled.
And I was wincing as I was watching. the footage.
I know. Look, but
I kind of want to get to the point where I can go, like I'm notoriety wise, go on shows like this so I can tell people to shut the fuck up on camera. That'd be great.
Watch a woman get punched in the face is almost unbearable.
This shit was not difficult to watch. This was fine. It was not heartbreaking. It was literally boxing. Watching someone get knocked out cold, anyone getting knocked out cold, that's a difficult watch. Some woman getting booped on the snoot and then crying about it is not a difficult watch. You're a pussy. After Iman was declared the winner, normally people shake hands, but Angela Carini basically just denied the handshake. I'm genuinely uncertain of how many fabricated quotes there are of Angela Carini out there, because one of the first stories they did quote.
Lip reader. You fucking kidding me? I love this.
There are of Angela Carini out there, because one of the first stories that I saw was from Fox News.
One more quote from the defeated Italian. Boxing is a sport that teaches you to have respect for the opponent. It cannot and must not become an abuse.
You can't be abusive like any sport. It has to be a vehicle for, I can remember. I can't understand the translation here, but
I don't know how these fuckers live with themselves. Yeah, I think the important part.
I know how they live with themselves. Give me a second. Megyn Kelly's salary is $18 million a year. That's how they live with themselves. That's probably why. Who is the other guy?
in the translation here, but
I don't know how these fuckers
I don't know who that guy is. I don't give a shit. Anyway, money.
live with themselves. Yeah, I think the important part here is to say that it was an abuse, and I'll take out this part about it being a weapon in life, but only for defense.
You wanna know what I do?
No.
I'm not a woman. So this circumstance could never happen. But if I was Carini and they said, go into the boxing ring, the fight's going to happen, I would put my hands behind my back and I would stand perfectly still and I would not move. I would not guard. I would not put my hands up. Or I think they might require you to before the fight starts. I'd immediately put them down and I'd put them to the side. Put my hands behind my back. I wouldn't fight. I'd say, no, you can win. Yeah, but you're going to have to beat me defenseless. I don't play these games.
I used to think like Tim Pool when I was a kid. I would consume a lot of TV shows and movies, and I do a lot of daydreaming and fantasizing about like what I would do in a specific scenario. Well, I do this, I do that, and then everyone would cheer for me. You build up like a fictional scenario, bro.
Yeah, this is... I feel like Ian is about to perfectly deduce exactly what Tim Pool is. And I kind of feel like he doesn't know who he is before this, right? And I feel like he's going to perfectly describe Tim Pool just after glancing off him.
Bro really thinks that he would be the leader of like a civil rights movement, and that Iman Khalif would like have no thought in her brain. She'd just be an out of control animal, just continuing to punch someone who's defenseless in the boxing ring.
And I would stand perfectly still and I would not move.
And the ref would just like look on in horror, and he wouldn't like stop you or break anything up. You'd just be like, oh no, like this is a child's thought. Why are you sharing that? Despite what Karini said about not wanting to make a political statement, just dropping to her knees and crying was enough to rile up the anti-trans community.
Did you see what he did there?
Yes.
Knees and crying was enough to rile up the anti-trans community so that they could use this as another example.
2 transgender women boxers have now been given permission to compete in the Olympics.
At least 2 transgender boxers.
I don't know if y'all been watching the Olympics, but I called this a while ago. This trans lie, we have to stop. A woman who got her ass kicked by some dude in 46 seconds.
It's unfortunate that Iman and Lin Yuting are specifically being accused of being trans, because it automatically plays into the dichotomy that if a trans person was competing, it would be a problem. And
well, this is the Russian disinfo, Ian. You're stumbling into, and I hope he gets into it, but you're stumbling into an area that's very complicated.
He doesn't, but I think he analyzes it as more in the fight and boxing perspective than the information warfare perspective.
Okay.
It's a good video.
And that's not
I think it's the best video I've seen on it so far.
necessarily the case. Sports federations all across the world are figuring out what it means to have a trans athlete competing as a man or a woman. Each federation is deciding different things. Now, I bring up these federations because the IBA is the Federation for Boxing. They are specifically the ones who have been working with the International Olympic Committee to put on boxing at the Olympics. Now, ever since, I want to say, the 2016 Olympics, there was some match fixing or accusations of match fixing, and the IOC and IBA have been butting heads. So Iman and Lin Yuting both competed in the IBA tournament in New Delhi in 2023, and they did well. But after the tournament, their sex test results came back. The sex tests for Iman Khalif and Lin Yuting both came back as XY. The argument that I'm making is that in the year of 2023, when these athletes competed and they were, targeted, sex tested, and stripped of their titles, there was no mention of gender eligibility in the handbook. In the letter that Iman receives from the IBA,
like I said, he doesn't go into disinfo. It's all just boxing analysis.
Okay, look, that's an interesting perspective that I haven't seen on this before. I haven't seen someone look at it by the standards that they were holding themselves to, ignoring the fact that the IBA and the IOC have not been in collaboration since 2019, right? Ignoring that entirely. The IBA, they only were questioned after they beat Russian boxers. That similarity alone should trigger some kind of curiosity in your head to be like, maybe there's something more here. And then look at the fact that in 2023, IBA was sponsored by Gazprom, Russia's,
like I said, he
hard
doesn't look at it from an information warfare angle.
Which is fine. Like, this is a normie video. I wouldn't expect that to be a normie video. That would be very, very interesting if he got to that level. But I'm extremely interested to see if they even hold themselves to their own standards.
Section 4.2.1 from the technical handbook. That section basically reads like, we reserve the right to make the final decision on a fighter's eligibility. Case closed, basically.
Amazing.
And I just think that is so shitty. If you're going to, go through the effort of making a new handbook every year and changing the rules every year, clearly the rules mean something, or they should mean something. Because what's in the handbook for 2024 is basically what they did discreetly in 2023. And none of the fighters had that information. They didn't know what the gender eligibility requirements were. As far as they knew, it was be a woman. You can at least argue that if you waited for the following year where you established the definitions and the criteria, that information would be publicly available to everyone, including the competitors, and they can make the decision for themselves. Do I want to risk this? A lot of these losers online have been thinking the smoking gun here is these athletes not appealing the decision that the IBA made.
Well, they had a chance to appeal, but they didn't. That's the bottom line, which means
And
they're
let me guess,
male.
why did they not appeal that unfair ruling?
If you're about to fight in the gold medal round and they tell you you can't because you're not actually a woman and you are one, why the hell would you not appeal? It makes no sense. These two are male.
I hate these people. The Court for Sports Arbitration is the high court for sports. Whatever decision they make is the final decision. To put your gender identity, your whole being, in the hands of a sports court is already a crazy thing to do. They aren't here to determine what is right, what is correct. They're here to determine what's fair, what they think is fair for the sport. They don't care that you've been competing for the past 8 years, the money you've spent, the time you've spent. Everything that you've done for the past 8 years is irrelevant to them because they can just look at your chromosomes and be like, you're a fucking man. Who are you appeasing and how are you rewarded at the end of the day for participating in that
He's
system?
so close.
Piers Morgan
He's
says
so close.
if she's a biological woman, he's a biological aardvark.
Look at this. This is a man. This is a man. And we don't care if they look like women.
Yeah, remember what I said before? Remember how conspiracy theory and fuckwits like to say things look like things? We seeing a trend here that we're subtly pointing out?
And they have to actually be women. Look at this. We know this is a man. Eyes still.
You believe that this is true, right? You believe that this is true.
So if these are the people you have to prove your womanhood to, is it really worth it? They clearly have already made up their mind.
I mean, if I slap Piers Morgan with my fat meaty cock, is that
Am I a
gay
woman?
or is that just making sure that he knows that I'm a man? You know,
Am I a woman if I slap him with my meaty cock?
I don't think it's worth it. No, sorry, you're losers. The opinions of losers are not going to be considered. One of the first stories I read is a story of Ewa Klabukowska. Now, Ewa Klabukowska is a Polish track and field athlete. I think she's still alive today. But back in the 60s, when she was competing at the Olympics, she had to take a sex chromatin test. And that basically is a cheek swab, and she failed the test. Upon failing the sex test, she was stripped of all of her titles, essentially erased from the record books, and her results were publicized to the world. What's fascinating about Eva's story is after being banned from competing in women's sports, a year later, she gave birth to a son. Now, you might think that this gives her a lot of credit in the womanhood department. But if you listen to someone like Riley Gaines,
if you have a Y chromosome, you are a male.
Based on their definition of
again, and he even said it as well. She's a loser. I don't give a fuck what a loser has to say. You're a fucking loser. Skill issue. You're crying because you lost. Skill issue. Get good.
These people are
Fucking
losers. We're not going to
scrub.
consider the opinions of losers.
what a man is.
Because they tested XY positive, they're male.
A man got pregnant. What kind of excuse and cope would these people come up with?
If the DNA test comes back and says, sorry,
The
you're a
DNA
bloke, you
test.
can't compete anymore.
Okay, now we're in the 80s. We have Maria Jose Martinez Pateno. In 1985, she had forgotten her certificate of femaleness, so she needed to take another sex test. Unfortunately, she had failed this test. The Olympics sort of learned their lesson with Ewa. They basically said, like, to all the athletes who failed the sex test, they said, fake an injury so you aren't humiliated. 2 months after she
Jesus
was
fucking
advised to
Christ.
fake an injury, she got a letter that classified her as a 46XY male. But because Maria is different, she's built different, she has AIS. And that stands for androgen insensitivity syndrome. So any benefit that she would have gotten from testosterone would have been negated completely. She got dumped by her boyfriend. She was super worried that she had the same condition that had killed her brother years before. Through trying to pursue the idea of fairness, they have been so unfair to these women throughout time, and they haven't prevented any men from competing in sports. And it's not as if that would be the worst thing that happened. Like, if you're forcing a surgery on one of your athletes for them to be able to compete, that basically is like, we're the baddies. We're the ones doing the bad things. One of the arguments that I've seen floating around is, why should we accommodate such a low percentage of the population?
I very much think this person is a rarity, but I don't think you make exceptions for one rarity and put other XX women's health and safety at jeopardy.
We're not.
Why do they not understand that? Like, they genuinely believe he has a cock. Like, that's what I'm getting, is these people are that dumb. That, I mean, let's use the term literally as being held back. They are retarded. They are fucking idiots. Like, what is going wrong in their fucking heads that they're like, I got told this must be true. This person has a cock. I have never seen it. I will never see it. I just believe this to be true. The fuck?
Cock inspection, cock inspection.
Again.
I'm going to be the Olympic cock inspector.
Again, like, should we just, if people start asking for proof that women are women, I feel like the guys around them should be like, all right, drop your pants, and then as they go to check, they all slap the person with their cock. Just like universal
nuts. Squeeze their nuts.
Universal public turkey slapping for people accusing women falsely of being men.
We're not talking about one
We can have
rarity when we talk
state turkey slappers.
about intersex people. We're talking about a portion of the population. These aren't people who are eventually going to go away. They're going to keep competing in sports, and they're going to keep showing up to the Olympics.
If you're dealing to being intersex, we're talking about 0.1% of the population. Okay, it's a very, very small portion of the population.
Otherwise known as 0.1%. It's not an accurate number. The number is actually 0.018%, but I'm here to challenge what you might think is a tiny portion of the population. Because people with the name Caitlin actually make up 0.00136%. There are 13 times more people who are intersex than people named Caitlin in the U.S.
0.000 point whatever of the population.
0.001% of people have Swyer syndrome, which means you have XY chromosomes, but you have all the normal female reproductive organs.
Weird.
Now let's compare that to 0.0000124% of people named Megan with a Y. I could now kind of understand why Megan with a Y is pissed. Is because she wanted to be Megan with an X. Megxin.
0.01% and 2% of the entire global population.
People with androgen insensitivity syndrome make up 0.0035% of the population. To compare that to people named Piers, that would be 0.00007%. So you are 500 times more likely to be born with androgen insensitivity syndrome than to be named Piers. The reason I'm bringing up these percentages is because I think a lot of us have the tendency.
Thank God.
To like downplay and dehumanize people when we think that they're essentially an insignificant portion of the population. They feel insignificant because you don't know anyone who's intersex. I mean, you've heard these people. They're saying XX chromosome woman, XY man. And then you show them one of these intersex people and their brain fucking explodes. They're like, what the hell? Like, I guess it's like a physical, like a biologically trans person. Like they can't compute.
The whole thing is confusing to me. It's not trans. It's not the transgender athlete declaring themselves female. This is at birth, I guess.
I don't understand. That means Bennett. You fucking idiot.
It's not a choice. It's, I guess, you're born.
I live in cave. I don't understand complex thought. I use rock to cook.
I told you this video is fucking good, bro.
Mutation in the genes, whatever.
We really didn't touch the surface of the fucking reactions to this shit. Oh my god.
Well, now that I can't say that it's a mental illness, I don't know what to do. This is like analog trans. This is acoustic trans.
He should have called this content cop right-wing media.
Boxing is inherently a dangerous sport. You're punching another person in the face and they're punching you. So the boxers are well aware of how unsafe it is. The doctors, the refs, the coaches, the judges, everyone fucking knows that it is just an unsafe sport in general. What they don't need is random commentators online saying how unsafe it is to have someone like Imam Khalif competing.
Men competing with women and destroying women's sports. What's it gonna take? It might take somebody
Look at
dying.
this fucking Sid the Sloth looking motherfucker. Shut the fuck up. Look at you, you fucking 5-head tuft the hair on the top of your
Hey,
fucking
whoa.
Shut
Whoa.
the fuck
Let's
up.
leave the foreheads out of this.
She had never been punched like this before. Someone's going to die.
This is about preventing a man from beating a woman to death.
Radical trans activists and those who support them are not going to be happy until a woman is dead. A woman is going to have to die for people to see reason and logic here.
I don't think that would stop it.
These people are talking a lot about death. I don't think any of them got the memo. There's a lot of deaths in boxing. I think they're being very dramatic because they see an opportunity to push their agenda and they're
Hold on.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I told Meat Canyon, obviously you didn't see it, but I think he
People
needs
are
to make
talking a
the
lot
black spaces on the side of the mouth even more
wider.
pronounced. I
Yeah,
think
I
he
agree.
did too much gums and not enough empty space.
death. I don't think any of them got the memo. There's a lot of deaths in boxing. I think they're being very dramatic because they see an opportunity to push their agenda and they're like, sweet, I've been complaining about men and women's sports.
Someone with a penis coming at you in the locker room. How about my daughter not going into a locker room and seeing a man's penis? He's showing off a penis in a locker room with his penis out.
Now's the example where I could say, okay, like it's violent and it could lead to death. Maybe people will listen to me now. If you sign up for boxing, compete in boxing, you're consensually agreeing to beat the shit out of another person as they attempt to do it to you. So the fear that these people are trying to propagate on the general public is not a new fear. But guess what? All of those female boxers at the Olympics, they've been doing it for years. Angela Carini, just like every other female fighter, consented to fighting her opponent.
Holy shit. Is Megyn Kelly pro getting rid of IVF? Surely not, right?
Couldn't tell you.
I'm interested because she's definitely anti-abortion, yeah?
Couldn't tell you.
You don't know? Does anybody know? Chat, is Megyn Kelly anti-abortion? I would naturally assume so.
She's
but I'm curious.
anti-brain.
But I'm curious about her position on IVF, considering her 3 kids were conceived through IVF. So it'd be kind of interesting to see her opinion on JD
she's not a real
Vance.
woman?
Yeah, so she's not a real woman. Oh well.
And shame on the IOC.
What is a
for
woman,
not
right?
protecting the safety of women's sports.
Other women at an unfair advantage, but unsafe advantage.
It is up for a society to prevent the abuse of women, but we don't do that anymore.
Women getting injured in sport, women getting beaten in the boxing ring is not uniquely dangerous. A lot of these people just don't like it. It is like very obvious in the way that they talk that they feel personally uncomfortable with it.
Women shouldn't box. It's wrong. I can't watch it.
To watch a woman get punched in the face is almost unbearable.
To see a woman violently punched in the head by a man, I cannot understate how despicable that is.
Shut up. And that tells you all you need to know, because they don't see men.
You know what some of the best fights I've ever seen are? Female UFC fights. They don't give a fuck. They're fucking savages. Good fucking lord.
Stamp
They are
Fairtex, am I right?
savages. Huh?
Stamp Fairtex, am I right?
I don't know what that is.
She's the best.
Is it a fighter?
Yeah.
I don't follow fighting that closely.
Men and women.
Is it the Asian one you always show me? Thai? Is she in the one fighting?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the one you always show me, yeah.
She just had surgery, so she had a vacator title.
Oh, really? Damn.
Yeah.
Because she couldn't defend it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Is equal. That's just a fact. And that's fine. That is like their ideology. But they can't insert their opinion about women's boxing, because if it was up to them, women wouldn't be boxing, period.
Actually, some things are better left to the fellas, like catching blows to the head, and some things are better left to the women, like giving birth, for instance.
Megyn Kelly wants us to use our eyes
Eyes still matter.
for everything except her ability to box. Okay, so what the hell? So you want me to just very blatantly discriminate against someone and then close my eyes for the boxing? Because Iman's got fights. She's got 9 losses and only 7 knockouts. You look at Gervonta Davis's fight record and you're like, oh shit, what a knockout rate. I don't think I
Holy
want
shit.
an average professional boxer to go in the ring with this guy. You can make that argument, but no one's making the argument for him, because they're like, oh, they're all grown men. They can choose for themselves what they want to do with their lives. But when it comes to the grown women, they're like, nah, it's about time us men step in, because this is now a men's issue. If you guys want to know how to feel about Iman Khalif, look no further than the way these random men reacted as compared to women boxers who actually have fought Iman Khalif.
It was disturbing to watch.
To me, they've got blood on their hands because there was blood coming from a nose and it was a disgrace.
Would you be comfortable fighting against it?
I've already fought against Iman, hard fighter, and my last fight was against Iman in the Netherlands in the final, so yeah. You just keep punching in the sport of boxing, it doesn't really matter. So, yeah.
Logan Paul, WWE superstar, boxer, influencer.
I love how the female boxer is like, yeah, boxing involves punching. And all of the people crying about it are guys. Guys with the same kind of muscles that I have. Fucking aesthetic muscles. You fucking twats. Shut the fuck up.
He yesterday said, this is the purest form of evil unfolding before our eyes. A man allowed to beat up a woman on the global stage, crushing her life's dream.
Very happy for Iman, weathered the storm and got what she deserved. This is sickening. This is a travesty.
Bro, sharing and wokeness too. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. What the fuck are you doing? Surely somebody had to tell them. Although, actually, on second thought, no. Jake Paul's team is probably equally as immature fuckwits as he is. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Not the best source.
Afraid we're evenly matched.
Sorry, it's not more dangerous. The fights have concluded, and Iman kicked their asses, but it wasn't more dangerous. Oopsie. It's like your worst nightmare came true. After Logan Paul, Piers Morgan, and J.K. Rowling give their highly educated take on Iman Khalif, they get to go back to what they've been doing. Logan Paul gets to reskin Lunchables and sell them for millions of dollars. Piers Morgan gets to move on to the next news story. J.K. Rowling gets to write her next book about wizards who definitely don't experience gender dysphoria. Oh, by the way, Iman Khalif is suing Elon Musk and J.K. Rowling, which is just fucking awesome. I think that's about as much as I can contribute to this conversation. But if you
Did well. I also think it's funny. Did you see all of Twitter harassing J.K. Rowling because she had like black mold on her walls in her phone?
Yeah, the black mold that makes you transphobic.
It was probably some of the funniest shit I've ever seen on Twitter. Like the fact that the entire platform basically was bullying her. It's
And
incredible.
then she changed her picture
Multiple times, and then they were picking on that one too. I genuinely believe I genuinely hope she becomes the next Shia LaBeouf. Just fuck with her endlessly until she stops. If she stops being a cunt, you stop fucking with her. Essentially, that's what should happen. Yeah, consequences for your action. You're not going to get any legal consequences, but you're going to get harassed by everybody for the rest of your life. Fuck yourself.
Fucking,
Social pariah.
Mia Rose, the doll who does the gun stuff, who was calling out Better Way 2A. She posted a video today, and it just says another one. It's her throwing out a Harry Potter book.
Amazing.
Like, that's so based. Like, to hunt them down and throw them out and destroy them.
Oh, that's amazing. That's great. I didn't see anything about that, calling him out. What for?
No, I asked. Well, it's not Jordan, but the other guy. I asked, like, what was, like, I wanted to hear, like, his reaction. I don't remember the other guy's name. In Better Way 2A, not Jordan.
Yeah. I got you.
I was asking him about it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If you enjoyed this content, I have
She called him out for doing Instagram collabs with, like, fashy accounts. And I was making fun of her, saying, like, "Oh, my 2,000 follower account is gonna tell you, tell you off."
No, I did say that.
That girl.
Yeah. Okay. That was a while ago. Yeah.
Load on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. I realize that every video I make on this channel, I have at least 20 minutes of edited content that I just send off.
The Russian disinfo stuff's in there.
I figured this
maybe
is a good way to, like, be a little bit more sustainable with my content. All right, that is going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching.
No, thank you. That was a honestly great video. Very good. The fact that there wasn't an outrage over a little rapist is actually insane. Yes. And so I'm curious if there's anybody pushing back. Surely nobody is fucking dumb enough to push back on all of that evidence. Surely somebody will be. Somebody out there watched this video and is like, "Oh my God." Yeah, this is my opinion. Me bitching and moaning when I enter a punching contest and my opponent punches me. That's essentially what this was. Okay.
I need your...
Are you aware of a CIA psychological profile about you, sir? Would you be interested in hearing what the CIA had to say? This secret study portrays as a brilliant but dangerous megalomaniac who is likely to pursue his own aims in disregard of U.S. interests. He's an uncertain ally. Shall I go on, or would you prefer that I stop, sir?